Most big franchises have merchandise in many forms, be it action figures, Lego, prop replicas, or other collectibles. What happens, though, when said merchandise is disappointing? Hybrid Toy Reviews presents When Merchandise Fails. Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, bringing a new series to the channel I'm titling When Merchandise Fails. It's a series talking about when merchandise, disappoints us. Maybe when something that's been hyped up for ages finally gets in hand and it's just a little disappointing. Or when something is being hyped up by fans forever, and then when it's finally coming along and it's so disappointing that the fan feedback just gets it straight up canceled. With context clues like that, I must surely be talking about the Haslab Rancor, the Black Series Haslab that surely was going to get funded until they kept talking about what you were actually going to get with that purchase. Without further ado, let's get into the failure of the Star Wars Black Series Haslab Rancor. Let's take things back to the beginning, July 15th, 2021. An early summer day with nothing of note happening, except for a little YouTube video of a Zoom call between FromForlomToZuckus.com and the Star Wars brand team at Hasbro. A little behind-the-scenes Q&A video. Maybe there might be some talk about some announced products from behind-the-scenes, development on them. Or even a little oops from Patrick when he accidentally mentions a Rancor in development. Yeah, a Rancor. Big dungeon monster Rancor from Return of the Jedi Rancor in 1/12 Black Series scale. The collector community explodes. It must be a Haslab. What could the tiers be? Other Haslabs have tiers, where if they sell certain amounts over the base funding amount, you get throw-in figures or really cool accessories. People begin speculating we might get a Rancor Keeper or the Dancer Ula, figures that would never sell well as single packs, but would be great accessory figures for a Rancor. Maybe we might get a display of the gate that traps Luke, a bone for Luke to hold. The possibilities are endless, and the community is hyped. The community didn't have to wait long for a confirmation. July 20th, Hasbro announces a Rancor with an ominous image of the giant gate in the Rancor pit, as if the leak on the livestream wasn't confirmation enough. However, after that announcement, we didn't hear much about the campaign for many months. Actually, not even until November 6th of 2021 when the campaign started with images of the prototype of the Rancor. Varying shades of gray plastic can only be so interesting, but they did a great job of showing the scale of the beast by including photos of it next to the Stormtrooper action figure. The images show it absolutely hulking over the standard-sized figure, the articulation on full display with every joint, even fingers, having a point of movement. In addition to showing the prototype, they even revealed something we fans had been waiting for, the fabled Tier 1 bonus. They needed 9,000 backers to even make the Rancor, but if they sold an impressive 11,000 units, you would get the absolutely amazing Gamorrean Guard? Yeah, that one kinda stung. A Gamorrean Guard repack, but in a Power of the Force collector packaging. These retro packagings have been trendy in recent years, but does it make it a good Rancor tier? Many weren't pleased, but the general agreement was it's only Tier 1. It would be the cheaper of the tiers. It's, the best tiers are always on the higher ones. A little disappointing, but ultimately we moved on, eager for the second tier. A few weeks later, Hasbro had another announcement ready. And on November 15th of 2021, fans were shown Tier 2, the tier that made Tier 1 look good. If they managed to sell 13,500 units, the fans would be thanked by receiving a bunch of plastic bones and a cardboard backdrop of the Rancor pit. Plastic, bones, and cardboard. The material surrounding our toys that we throw away. That stuff. And some well-sculpted, but absolutely useless plastic bones you could bury in the not-included sand of your display. The community was in an uproar. We imagined plastic gates and Ula and Rancor Keepers. Around this time, Yakface coined the phrase, no Ula, no Mula. Hasbro kept assuming that the fans were happy and didn't respond to any community feedback as the backers actually began canceling their orders of the product. Instead of getting closer to the 9,000 unit goal, they were getting farther from it by the day. The Rancor was in trouble. November 19th of 2021, 4 days after the Bones debacle, Hasbro finally made what seemed obviously to be a damage control announcement. They showed off painted prototypes of the Rancor, which admittedly did look very good. The shading really pulled off the look of the monster, and definitely would have incentivized more backers if they hadn't continued to speak of Tiers 3 and 4. They were doing so well until that point, but the chaos began when the announcement of Tier 3 was made. Salacious B. Crumb. Jabba's monkey lizard, reused from the SDCC Jabba of years before on a throwback Return of the Jedi card, because that made the Gamorrean guard so enticing. Not to mention, it was barely a week after the announcement that it was going to be included in the Galaxy's Edge creature pack, so it was hardly an exclusive. Then, moments later, they announced Tier 4, an all-new Jabba's Palace Luke Skywalker on a Power of the Force throwback card. Now, admittedly, this is the best-looking Luke Skywalker figure Hasbro has ever shown, but it was then announced that it would be released in standard packaging in 2023 anyway. 4 tiers on a premium collectible, and beyond the packaging, the only exclusive item was a few plastic bones and a cardboard backdrop. Cancellations came in rampantly. The backers fell off drastically in days. No Oola, no Moolah was the war chant of collectors, and the Star Wars team refused to say a word. Actually, a member of the Hasbro Marvel team had to come out and say that Disney said Oola was not on the table and they wouldn't license it. Why couldn't the Star Wars team be transparent like this? With the trust and faith of the community shattered and the days winding down to the end of the campaign, the Rancor obviously was not going to fund. Then, almost as if to make a backhanded, not genuine feeling apology, for the first time in the entire campaign, the Star Wars team made an announcement, acknowledging their campaign's flaws, barely acknowledging them as failures, and they merely posted a picture of Malakili, the Rancor Keeper, and said an uncarded loose Malakili would be included with the base tier Rancor, meaning that as long as the base 9,000 units sold, they would make the only figure we had asked for the whole time. Why it took that much time and so much public discourse to finally get that result, we'll never know, because December 6th, the Rancor failed to fund, though it was much closer to the goal. It sold about 8,500 of the 9,000 units, and the Star Wars team swiftly swept it under the rug, never to be publicly mentioned again. So, here we are, almost 6 months later, and no Rancor. You know, at this point, we'd be 9 to 12 months from those big plastic beasts showing up on our front porch. But, what are you going to do? The immediate time after the Rancor failing was just a lot of collectors being hateful of one another. People were mad at people like Yakface for publicly saying that they weren't going to back it. People thought that the guys behind Out of the Basement were awful for supporting it the whole time, whether they liked the product we were going to get or not. So, kind of raises the question, were you a backer of the Rancor, or did you back out? Personally, I backed out after that second tier, and then when they announced Malakili, they roped me back in, so I was gonna go for it, and then it still just didn't fund, so it is what it is. Would we have gotten that Rancor, though, if Hasbro didn't wait for the campaign to be 95% done and then announce the Malakili then? Or should they have actually been paying attention to what people were saying on their posts the entire time and maybe said, wow, people really didn't like Tier 2 or Tier 1. Maybe we should rethink Salacious B. Crumb a little bit here. Maybe we should just say, yeah, we don't have a picture, but we hear what you're saying, guys, so Malakili. Maybe should the Star Wars team have said, hey, we can't do Oola. Disney won't let us. Instead of making the Marvel guy feel bad for the Star Wars team and say it on his own Twitter. So, it does raise the question of what really went wrong here. Was it the fans that didn't want it? Or was it the Star Wars Hasbro team that didn't entice us enough for it? The Rancor looked good, but obviously this was a case of the tiers failing it. And that's what I gotta say. Thanks a bunch for watching, guys. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed this video, you should leave a comment down below. This is going to be a new series. We're probably not going to do an episode every week. It's going to be like some other similar types of series. I'm thinking like the iDubbbz Content Cup, where it could be one a month, it could be one a year. So if there are any merchandise failures that you would like me to talk about, mention them down below. I've got a few in mind, though, for some Star Wars videos or even Doctor Who. We got a lot of that coming up. So keep an eye out on the channel, leave a like, subscribe, you all know the drill. And until next time, I hope each and every one of you have a great day. Bye.